And tell me in the chat if you've heard of Pee Wee Herman. Yeah. Oh, you can't see me? Let me know if you can see me. I can see myself. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, cool. There, I should be there now. All right, so yeah, I think it's amazing that we have this technology. I'm so thankful for it because right now I am teaching online. I teach English language learners. And so you can imagine teaching English online in this platform. And I'm teaching freshmen. So this is their first year of high school and they're experiencing it online. So we're going through so many challenges, but I can't even explain to you. We've been in school for about 2 weeks now. It'll be our second week tomorrow, the end of our second week, and my students are showing up. They're doing their work. They are, participating, and it's all online. And there's challenges. We have students right now being evacuated. I have students right now that are being evacuated, and they're still showing up to class. So our kids are strong. They are strong. And I teach in Salinas, which is a minority community, and once called the gang capital, still I think is in California. But these kids can rise to the challenge if they have the right educator. I'm telling you, they are amazing. So let me get to my speech a little bit. I'm kind of going off. There are so many important decisions we as Americans need to make in the way we vote in November. I think we all have just look around. You can see what's going on in California. All you have to do is keep your eyes open and you see that there's a lot going on in our state right now. And this is not the time for Prop 16. It just isn't. And especially since it's been rushed, I don't vote yes on any proposition that's been rushed, for one. And for two, I would definitely not vote yes on this one, even if it wasn't rushed. So I just want to implore you to convince your friends, and I'm going to ask you to do this again. I want to implore you to convince your friends and family to vote no, because I know that all of you that are on here listening are voting no, but we need to also convince our friends and family. I pray that we Californians rise up and vote no for Prop 16. So I just want to warn you guys that I don't give messages gently. So just know that I'm a pretty firm person and I'm very passionate about this as well. California, we do not believe in racial preferences for hiring, for admitting, for representing anything in public in our country, in our state. We as Californians put it in our state constitution to not allow for this discrimination in our public institutions. We voted for this. We do not want racial preferences and discrimination. Now we have the left using this time of racial turmoil to capitalize on emotion and push for legal discrimination in all our California public institutions. I actually went just today and looked again at their Prop 16 website, and they paint this beautiful picture, but they don't say the whole story. And of course, people are emotional right now. They want to help. And that's why it can't just be us giving the message. It can't just be Manny. It can't just be Damien. It can't just be us panelists. It has to be you too, because what they're doing is they're painting this pretty picture right now, and people want to help, and they're going to capitalize on that emotion of wanting to help others, and it's not going to help. And I will go into why. And I'm going to try and make this quick because I know that we have our evening and we still need to get ready for bed, and I have to teach in the morning, so pardon me if I talk fast, but you can always watch it again. We're recording it. So California, we do not believe in racial preferences. So I really want to take a look just real quickly at what is exactly in our Constitution. I am a teacher, and so it's very important to look at the actual language. So I'm going to read it to you right now. This is what we voted for in the 90s. The state shall not discriminate against or grant preferential treatment to any individual or group on the basis of race, sex, color, ethnicity, or national origin in the operation of public employment, public education, or public contracting. Now, when I hear that, I hear something that is righteous. We are not supposed to discriminate. And of course, thank you. I'm glad it's in our Constitution. Now let's look at what it would sound like if Prop 16 was to pass. So let's change the language here. The state shall discriminate against and grant preferential treatment to any individual or group on the basis of race, sex, color, ethnicity, or national origin in the operation of public employment, public education, or public contracting. Now, that does not sound right. That does not sound like California. And we're giving this power into the hands of men. And when I say men, I mean men and women, of course, but we're giving power into the hands of men to legally discriminate based on color, based on race, based on sex, based on ethnicity. And we can't, I'm sorry, but I don't trust people enough to make those decisions based on a color. We should not be doing that. So every Californian should envision what this type of discrimination can lead to. I mean, think about it. When we have racial preferences in our institutions, that means we also have opposite racial discrimination. So we can have two candidates for the same government job, both have the same qualifications, but the final decision is based on the color of their skin rather than testing their abilities to do the job. We cannot allow this to happen in California. I mean, you can play out all of these scenarios in your mind that will be allowed, and it's not right. It's not right. That's not who we are, and that's not how we solve inequalities in our country. And how can we become a state that allows someone to be institutionally discriminated against because of the color of their skin or the race they check in a box? Okay, for example, I'm mixed. So you know, when I was in the 90s, they used to only have, like, you would only be able to check one thing in a box. I'm glad they finally got rid of that. And I can actually check two things, like I'm white and Jamaican, or I'm white and black. But what would I check in the 90s? You know, that box that you check could literally change whether or not you're going to be allowed inside of a college, or whether or not you're going to be getting a job that you have been working so hard for. Just a little box you check. Okay, that's going to lead to lying, for one. People are going to lie about their race, so we don't want that. You know, we want honesty. But secondly, that's not right. I mean, just think about it. It's just, I mean, in our hearts, we know it's wrong. This is not the solution to inequalities we have in the state. This is not the way to create balance. I want to share, I know he mentioned a little bit about my story. There's so much to it. Like, I was raised by a single mom. My dad's a Jamaican immigrant, and he left my mom while she was pregnant with me. And I mean, she was crying for 2 months because she was so in love with my dad. She was very young. She was 19 when she got pregnant, 20 when she had me. And I struggled, you know, my mom struggled our whole lives. She had 2 other kids with my stepdad. I did okay in elementary school. School was never really something that came easy for me. And I didn't have teachers that really knew how to teach me well. That's part of the reason why I became a teacher, because I understand what it's like to struggle in school. And by the time I was in high school, I actually was failing all of my classes, and I just didn't think college was not even in my radar. I didn't think that was for, you know, the rich kids, because I couldn't afford college. I had no idea that there was junior colleges, or that there was a place where I could get an AA degree. I didn't know that. But luckily, I had this wonderful counselor that introduced me to the high school proficiency exam, which is this a test you can take to actually test out of high school. And by some miracle, I passed that test at 16, and I started at a junior college at 16 years old, and wasn't in high school anymore, which is just what I needed, because high school was a really tough time for me. Now, that junior college was the most precious years of my education. And I am so glad that I was a perfect match to go into that junior college. You know, if I had been pushed to go into a UC, I would have drowned. Those UC classes, when you're a freshman, there's 1,000 kids in those classes. I needed more individual attention, and the junior college, the 2-year university that I went to, which was Cabrillo College, was just what I needed. And that's another thing about this proposition is no young person is being, and I tell this to my students, all of you can go to college. No one is being denied entry to college in California right now. No one. You know, you just have to find the right one for you. You can even drop out of high school, get addicted to drugs, which actually happened to me. I struggled with drug addiction when I was younger as well. And then come back, enroll in a junior college, and they will help you get your high school diploma, and then they will move you on from there. And so not a single student in California is being denied entry into college. They're only being denied entry into colleges that they may not be a good fit for. And that's important. Like, I tell my students, you want to be a big fish in a little pond. You don't want to be a little fish in a big pond. You want to stand out. So don't apply for the college where you know you're going to sink, make sure you go to one where you're actually going to succeed. So, so yeah, I was at Cabrillo College. It took me 3 years to graduate with my AA. I did pretty good. I had B's. I got to take dance classes, which I really enjoyed. It was inexpensive. And that was the other thing, is if I had gone to a four-year university, and I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with going to a four-year university, but I wouldn't have been able to afford to take all those extra fun classes that I really made my college education enjoyable. And so I was able to graduate with an AA in dance and an AA in liberal arts. And I think I had about a 3.0 or so. And I transferred to UC Riverside. Now, UC Riverside, that was an okay school for me. It was actually just what I needed at the time, because I mentioned to you guys that I struggled with drug addiction when I was younger, and I had to get away from my friends. And that's another thing I want to mention, is a lot of the reason why we can't succeed in life is not because of an inequality happening institutionally. It's because of the people we surround ourselves with. It's the people that we have as friends, and I had to get away from my friends that were doing drugs and bringing me down. And so one of the best things for me was to leave my area and go down to UC Riverside. And I finished UC Riverside, and I got a bachelor's in law and society. And I actually was planning on being a lawyer for juvenile justice. But that's a whole nother story. I decided not to do that and decided to go into education. And then I went to UCSC. I got my master's in education 4.0. And I look back at that and I'm like, how did I do that? I mean, we were writing 10-page papers every single week. But you know what? I was developmentally ready for that. And I had gone through so many trials through school, through my education, that when I got to that master's program, I was ready. And so we need to make sure that our students are ready for the college that they go into, instead of forcing them to go into a college just because of its name, just because it sounds good. And so we lower the standard for them so they can go to a school that sounds good to them, but doesn't actually give them the education that they need. So it's so important for them to get the right fit. And that's with all things, with all public jobs. We need to make sure that we have people that are the right fit for these jobs. All right, I'm gonna move on. I am proud of the fact that I was able to accomplish this without the standards being lowered for me to become an educator. There's a cheapness to it when we lower the standards for a certain minority group or something like that. There's a cheapness to it. The struggle is what made me stronger. I feel like I'm a very strong woman right now because it wasn't easy for me. And I don't think we need to pave golden roads for our kids. They're actually very intelligent. I want to share with you guys, he mentioned that I worked as a teacher in Compton, and you actually had it wrong. It wasn't high school, it was elementary school. I did the 3 years where I got kids into college, that was high school. But one of my first jobs was in Compton, and it was at an elementary school, and I ran an after school program. And man, those kids, okay, first of all, the school looked like a fortress. It was a giant brick building, and it looked like a fortress. And behind it was the projects. So behind the school was the projects. And we would have lockdowns there. So whenever the police would come, sometimes the people would run that they were trying to arrest would run into the school campus, and we would have to lock down the school. I mean, these kids were dealing with all kinds of trauma. I didn't meet the parents very often because many of them were addicted to drugs. But let me tell you this, as soon as I whipped those kids in shape, they didn't like me the first 2 weeks. No. They were like, who is this teacher? She's too strict and da-da-da-da. Like they did not like, I had kids cussing at me, fourth graders. But after about 2 weeks, they started getting it. And are we supposed to see Holly's computer? Okay, good, you guys can see. Okay, so they were getting it, they fell in line, and let me tell you, these kids became some of the most studious. They enjoyed learning. They enjoyed having the standards high for them. They enjoyed being made accountable. So I would give them little fake dollars to come to the program. And if they were on time, they would get 2 fake dollars. And I remember the principal telling me that the kids would talk to her after school, or she'd want to talk to them. And she would say, and they would tell her, oh, we have to go to our after school program. We can't talk to you. We don't want to be late. I mean, these kids were so ready to just learn. They were just into it. So what I don't like about this proposition is it creates an environment where we lower the standard for certain groups when they are totally capable of meeting it. They're totally capable of meeting it. I've seen it over and over and over again. I teach the low readers in my school, and I teach the English language learners. And as soon as they get a teacher that knows how to tap into their mind, knows how to make them grow, they explode and they love it. They love it. Um, so our young, like I said, our young people want to rise to the standard, and they can with correct education and guidance. We are only hurting them when we allow this color of their skin or their sex to be a reason to lower the standard. I just wanted to give a real quick little example of just something I thought of the other day, because I really love gymnastics, and I'm really heartbroken that we don't have the Olympics this year. I just love, I mean, it's my favorite time of the year, the Olympics. I even show it in my classroom, the highlights to my students, like, because it's always so inspiring, and there's always really inspiring stories of people who came from nothing and got there and got a gold medal, you know, or who ran barefoot in Ethiopia and now they're getting the gold medal. I mean, there's always really great stories in the Olympics. On top of that, watching it is just so riveting. But I love gymnastics. That's always been my favorite from when I was young. And I was thinking about the other day, and I was like, so what if we had this, what if we did the balance beam? You know, the balance beam is such a tough apparatus in gymnastics. I'm sure you've all seen it. They have to go on a 4-inch beam that's 4 feet high and do like backflips on it. I can't even walk across a beam like that. That's pretty amazing what they do. And one of the best gymnasts in the world, I mean, she is the best gymnast in the world, is Simone Biles. But let's picture this. Let's say when she gets on to do her routine, they made it 8 inches wide and they put it on the ground. You know, do you see what that can create? Do you see the kind of resentment that can create when she gets the gold medal? The person in silver and the person in bronze, they're not going to really respect her gold medal. And then in her own heart, she will know that she doesn't truly have that gold medal. And so we can't do this, because what it leads to is a lowering of the standards for certain groups. And that's not what we need in California. That's not how we solve inequality. And I know it sounds nice, and that's what's scary about this, is it sounds so nice, and you're gonna have friends and family, they're gonna say, oh, but you know, we have institutional racism, and we need to make sure that we have all these balances. And no. That is not what we need right now. That's not the solution to get more, you know, minorities or more whoever it is that's being underrepresented. That's not the way we get more of them into a certain position or into a certain college. So I just wanted to request all of you, and I don't doubt that you came to this Zoom event and you've already decided to vote no, but I want you all to think of friends and family that could be deceived into voting yes, because it is a deception. And people really, they're really capitalizing on people's emotions right now. Everyone's highly emotional. So they're going to read it and they're going to say, oh, that sounds nice. We need to do that. We need to help these, you know, minorities get these better jobs and blah, blah, blah. No. That is a deception. It actually does not help them. And so I want you all to commit to sharing why you think they should vote no. I know it's not easy to share our beliefs right now. And I know that we may feel like we're not good enough. Like you may wish, oh, I wish I could share it like me, you know, but you can share a video of this to someone, you know? So I want you to think about who you're going to try and convince to vote no on Prop 16, because it can't just be us that are passionate about it. We got to get those people that are on the fence, that are undecided, or maybe haven't researched it well. And we all have friends and family that we can think of to do that. So I'm actually going to give you like 30 seconds to just say, I'm going to tell and type it in the chat. I'm gonna talk to my mom, or I'm gonna talk to my sister. Go ahead and type it in the chat. Make your commitment on who you're gonna talk to right now about this tomorrow, even while it's still fresh in your mind, someone that you can convince to vote no, because that's what we need. We don't just need people that are already convicted on it to vote yes. We need those that are already convicted on it to convince their friends and family to also vote no. And then I just want to lastly share with you that I know that that what we are witnessing in California, particularly with Black America, in light of all the recent events, that there are alternate, and I noticed in the chat that someone was like, what should we do? There are alternative real solutions that work and don't involve discrimination and racial preferences. And we also, and this is also something I want you to share with your friends and family, that there's other solutions. Like if they are concerned about this, if they are concerned that there's a literacy gap, which is true, our minority students are reading at a lower reading level than other kids. And in general, California is not doing good. We used to be one of the best states in education in the country, and now we're one of the worst. So there are solutions. So yeah, 5 people at least. Good, thank you. No one's telling in the chat who they're gonna share. So make sure you do that. So there are real solutions, and there's a reason we have a standard for all. Here we go. We must. Oh, that's what it is. We must fix our K through 12 education. We must recruit the best and brightest to teach our children. You know, we have people left and right dropping out of being teachers right now because it doesn't pay very well. You know, maybe if we got more qualified teachers, and think of this, if we allow this proposition to go through, if we vote yes on this, we're going to get more unqualified teachers. We're going to have more unqualified college professors. We're going to have more unqualified government workers. That's not going to help anything. That's not going to solve anything, you know. And there's a reason why we have a standard for all these positions. There's a reason why people need to meet a standard in order to get these jobs, and we need them to work their job well. So we must get our young people to meet the standard, not lower it. We can't water down the system. It will only hurt all. And so I just, like I said, there's solutions that for example, I'm part of Blexit California, which is a nonpartisan movement, BLEXIT, and we're actually working on after school programs. I'm helping to develop it that address the literacy issues in California. So we want to open up after school programs that actually address the reading gap and get kids to read above a 5th grade level, which is our average reading level in America, which is embarrassing, you know? So we used to have the best education system in America in California, but now we are one of the worst. We can't lower the standards on top of this. This is gonna make it even worse. So I just, you know, I wanna thank you all for voting no on Prop 16, but I wanna praise you even more if you're able to share with all your voting age friends and family that they should vote no too. We have no idea what this type of legislation could lead to. We have no idea how bad the discrimination could get with racial and sex preferences. I mean, we're putting power into the hands of men to discriminate. And when I say men, I mean men and women. We're putting power to discriminate based on race. I mean, think about that, based on sex. We're doing that legally. That is not right. That is not what we stand for in America. That is what we've been working hard to fight against. And so we must not allow this to happen. We are fine rising to the standard on our own. You know, our kids can rise to the standard. I've seen it over and over again. So, I mean, I'm just going to end with that. God bless you guys. God bless California. Vote no.
Thank you so much. Very well said. Very inspirational. Really appreciate you saying that. And sorry about the typo of elementary and high school. Sorry about that. But anyways,
yeah.
sorry about that. But fantastic story. Thank you so much. Yeah, I wasn't gonna call when you went out. She's the one that wrote that part. But
it's okay. I've done a lot, so it's like, and I know I shared a lot of my story with her, so I can see why it could get confusing. I've done a lot in education, so yeah.
So I want to conclude with just a few questions. I want to be sensitive to everybody's time. Something that I've been seeing in the chat, and I know a question that we're all thinking is, we're clearly not racist, but that's what the site paints us out to be, right? So what would be your 30-second pitch just to, if you saw somebody of color that said, oh, Prop 16, that ends racism, what would your just 30-second pitch be to that person to tell them, no, they're wrong? We'll start with you. We'll start with Betty. We'll go in the same way.
You cannot use racism to stop racism.
Right.
That's it.
That's it. That's perfect. All right, Carly, we'll go to you next.
I would say that even though it sounds nice, and I appreciate that you want to do something to help the minority community, this actually hurts them. Lowering the standards hurts our students. and hurts our young people. And it also hurts our society because we will have people that are working jobs that they're not fully qualified for. And we need good workers in California. So I would just say, even though it sounds nice and I get it that you want to help minorities, this is just not the way. And then I would also say this was pushed. This went too fast. Don't vote. Don't vote for any proposition that's pushed quickly on California. We have to do things carefully and slowly. So that's what I would say.
That's perfect, Carl. And last but not least, Manny, go ahead and unmute yourself. And what would your 30-second pitch be?
Liberty is based on individualism. The power of the state to judge people by categories, by skin color, by ethnicity, by gender, that's not individualism, that's the opposite. And what we want to do is empower people like Callie, like Betty, to go as far as they desire based on their skill, their achievement, and their merit, and not based on their skin color or their ethnicity. So the free society hinges on individuals judged as individuals and not by categories. And if you want to see racism as an element in this debate, those are the people that want to allow the government to look at skin color, look at gender, look at ethnicity, and decide based on that, not based on merit, where they'll be placed.